Hello everyone, and welcome to the Commander's Forge. My name is Andy Bentley, and the Forge is an area for me to talk about Magic, Commander, and anything else that I kind of want to. And this episode, I kind of want to... Well, I know what I'm going to do in the second half. But in this half, I just kind of want to have a chat. A lot of what I do for the podcast just comes out of my pocket. Which is why a lot of times things take time, because I also have bills to pay. And you cannot understand just exactly how grateful I am to the couple of patrons I do have. But whenever I sit down to think about the future of the podcast, well, I don't think it's going to go anywhere because I'm stubborn. It's fairly limited in where I can take it without more support. But this isn't really a call for help. This is just information. Starting the stream that me and my cousin are going to be starting after the Kamigawa pre-release is not going to be cheap, especially if I want to make it better over time. And that doesn't really fall on anybody except for me. It's not even my cousin's idea. I just kind of roped him into it with me. But yeah, it's just... I'm trying to grow something here that I don't necessarily want to be a 100% full-time job, but it would be nice if I could supplement some income with it, just to, I don't know, feel like I'm actually accomplishing something. I don't know. Either way, the link for my Patreon is always there if you would like to help, and if you don't want to help, you can always just share whatever I'm putting out with people and get the word around. But yeah, I think that'll do it for this part, because the second part's going to be fairly long, and I'll be right back, ironically, after our Patreon ad. Hey, I just want to take a minute to tell you about my Patreon. I know times are hard for everybody, and I know it isn't easy to shuffle around bills and stuff. Believe me, I know that. But if you would like to help support the podcast and me, you can find the links to my Patreon in my link tree, which is always put into the description of either the video or the audio, wherever you're listening to it. It would really mean the world to me. Honestly, I'm just struggling to make ends meet most weeks. But that's it. That's all. If you want to help, the links will be where you can find them. And we're back. Now, it is no secret that I am not happy with the samurai that are coming out with Kamigawa. But they did eventually give us our Mardu Samurai. He's not the Mardu Samurai Lord I wanted, so I'm going to make him the Mardu Samurai that we all deserve. So Isshin, Two Heavens is One is a red, a white, and a black for a 3/4 legendary human samurai, and if a creature attacking would cause a triggered ability of a permanent you control the trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So clearly it says not one thing about samurai. And as a matter of fact, the list that I threw up so far doesn't have any in it. Although there are a few that might make the cut eventually. So when I saw this, I had 3 cards kind of pop into my head simultaneously. And it's kind of where I started tentatively building this list. And they're all enchantments. And they're all expensive enchantments. The first one is Campaign of Vengeance. 3, a white and a black enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks, defending player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. This means for each creature that attacks somebody, they're going to lose 2 life and you're going to gain 2 life. Fervent Charge is 1, a white, a black, and a red for an enchantment. And whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +2/+2 till end of turn, so he doubles that to +4/+4. And Gleam of Battle is an enchantment for 4, a red and a white. And whenever a creature you control attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, so again, he doubles it up to 2 +1/+1 counters. And that kind of gave me the basis for the deck. And honestly, this is already kind of into like its second iteration because I cut some things to add to synergies elsewhere and cut some other things to add in some more creatures. But let's just take a moment to talk about just how sick our removal is when we're looking at the Mardu color pairs. Anguished Unmaking. 1 white black, instant, exile a permanent, you lose 3 life. Dire Tactics, a red and a white for an instant. Exile a creature. If you don't control a human, you lose life equal to the creature's toughness. Not a problem. Fracture, a white and a black. Instant, destroy an artifact, enchantment, or planeswalker. Path to Exile. Single white. Instant, remove a creature from the game. Its owner gets to search the library for a basic land card, put it into play tapped. Swords to Plowshares. Single white. Instant, exile a creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. Terminate. A red and a black. Instant. Destroy a creature, can't be regenerated. And Vanishing Verse. A white and a black for an instant that exiles target monocolored permanent. In the original list, we actually had, I believe, 10 single target removal spells. And we aren't actually running any board wipes in here. Because that's just not what the deck is going to want to do. Now, as far as our ramp, it is all mana rocks. Most of them are at the 2 mana slot, like the 3 signets, which are Boros, Orzhov, and Rakdos. They all cost 2, and you can pay 1 into them to produce their 2 colors, either red-white, white-black, or black-red. Then we have 2 of the 3 talismans we could run. It's just I don't own the 3rd one, but we have Talisman of Conviction and Hierarchy, which are the red, white, and white, black ones, respectively. They either tap for a colorless, or you can tap and add one of their colors, and it deals 1 damage to you. Then we're also running fun stuff like Coalition Relic, Chromatic Lantern, but we're not here to get into the nitty-gritty of everything. We want to talk about making attack triggers. Well, it starts with one of my favorite ones when I first thought of this deck, and that's Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs. 3 red for a legendary Ogre Warrior. He is a 5/4, and whenever a creature an opponent controls attacks, if you are the defending player, create a 3/3 red Ogre creature token unless that creature's controller pays 3 life. So, funny thing, Isshin's ability does not specify a creature you control. So if an opponent's creature triggers something that you control, you still double it up. So with Kazul, whenever they attack you with 1 creature, it's, hey, are you going to pay 3 or do I make a 3/3? And then you get to ask them immediately again, oh, are you going to pay 3 or do I get to make a 3/3? And it's just, it's real stupid stuff like that that really is fun. But we have some other fun attack triggers like Adriana, Captain of the Guard. She is 3, a red and a white for a legendary human knight, 4/4, with melee. So melee is whenever this creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 till end of turn for each opponent you attacked with a creature this combat. She also gives other creatures I control melee. So melee is an attack trigger. So say I attack all 3 of my opponents with Adriana and Isshin out, they're all going to get the +1 for each one of them, but then they're going to get it again, so they're going to get +6. Yeah, I know. Just there's some attack triggers that you just want to see the world burn, like Bruce Taro, Boorish Herder. 2 a red and a white for a 3/3 legendary human ally. When he enters the battlefield or attacks, target creature you control gets double strike and lifelink till end of turn. Captain Lannery Storm, 2 and a red for a 2/2 human pirate with haste. Whenever she attacks, you make a treasure token, and then whenever you sacrifice a treasure, she gets +1/+0 till end of turn. We also have Atali Primal Storm, 4 red for a 6/6 Elder Dinosaur. When Atali attacks, exile the top card of each player's library, then you may cast any number of spells from among them without paying their mana costs. Just one of those, like, if you get to attack with it, it does good stuff, but then if you attack with Isshin out, it's gonna do a lot of work, especially when you can put it out with haste. Let's see. Then I have a couple that just kind of made sense. Hanoi Garrison is 2 and a red for a 2/3 human soldier. But when it attacks, you put 2 1/1 red human creature tokens onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. I would be running its counterpart, the Hanoi Battlements, if I could figure out where I put my spare one. But even innocuous stuff like Inspiring Unicorn, 2 white for a 2/2 unicorn. But whenever it attacks, creatures you control get +1/+1 till end of turn. Layla the Blade Reforged, 2 and a red for a 2/2 Spirit Warrior with haste. But whenever she attacks, you exile the top card of your library and you may play that card this turn. And whenever you exile one or more cards from your library and or your graveyard, you put a +1/+1 counter on Layla. So if you play her the turn after you play Isshin and attack, say you haven't hit your land, you exile the top 2 cards of your library, you put 2 +1/+1 counters on Layla, and then you can hopefully play a land. Leonin War Leader is also one of those token producers, 2 white for a 4/4 cat soldier. When it attacks, you make 2 1/1 white cat tokens with lifelink. I wanted to throw something in here that I have but never really put anywhere. And that's a Runetail Kitsune Ascendant. 2 and a white for a 2/2 Fox Monk. But when you have 30 more life, you flip it, and it becomes Runetail's Essence, and it prevents all damage that would be dealt to creatures you control. And we're going to want to be attacking a lot. Sir Alan the Lion's Claw used to be in Linden a long time ago, but it was just a little too expensive and didn't quite do enough. But 3 white for a 4/4 human knight, first strike, and whenever Sir Alan the Lion's Claw attacks, other creatures you control get +1/+1 till end of turn. Again, making it +2/+2. It's just going to be a little more decent in here. Taranika, a Crowan veteran, 1 white for a 3/3 human soldier with vigilance. And when she attacks, you untap target creature you control, and until end of turn, that creature has base power and toughness 4/4 and gains indestructible. And then let's talk about 2 of my favorite attack triggers that are in the deck. Tectonic Giant is 2 red for a 3/4 elemental giant. When he attacks or becomes the target of a spell an opponent controls, you can choose one. He either deals 3 damage to each opponent, or exile the top 2 cards of your library. Choose one, and then until end of your next turn, you may play that card. So this is a good way to actually get through the deck some, or just to deal 6 to everybody. And then we have Winota, Joiner of Forces. 2 red-white for a 4/4 human warrior. Whenever a non-human creature you control attacks, you look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put a human card from among them onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. It gains indestructible till end of turn. Put the rest of the cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. So, well, there isn't a ton of humans in the deck. And honestly, this probably isn't going to be the last iteration of the deck. And who knows, maybe she'll come out at some point for something else. But I know there's some humans like that are in my collection that I haven't found yet that I kind of want in this deck. And just the ability to dig through 12 cards looking for 2 creatures with every non-human you attack with, you end up seeing your entire deck very fast. Yeah. That's a lot of the attack triggers I wanted to talk about. Through a couple of different ways to get an extra attack in. We have a Relentless Assault in there, which is 2 red for a sorcery. Untap all creatures that attack this turn. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase, followed by an additional main phase. And Aurelia's is technically an attack trigger, but I don't think it would work the way I want it to work with Isshin. Either way, 2 red, white for a 3/4 angel, flying, vigilance, and haste. And when Aurelia the War Leader attacks for the first time each turn, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. Yeah, that's basically the shell of what I was building. And I actually have the deck built. I just need the Isshin. And we'll go from there. And I'll probably update it after playing it for a couple of times and finding some more stuff I want to put in there. I will talk about a couple of the samurai that I actually might want to put in here. And I mentioned them briefly in last week's episode. The first one is Goro, Disciple of Ryusei. 1 and a red for a 2/2 Goblin Samurai. You can pay a red to give creatures control haste until end of turn. And you can pay 3 red to create a 5/5 Dragon Spirit creature token with flying. Activate this ability only if you control an attacking modified creature. Modified meaning either it has a +1 counter on it, or is enchanted or equipped. And I have a few ways to throw counters around in this deck. And then there was the rare Boros Samurai. Ryu Storm's Edge. 2 red-white, 3/3 human samurai with first strike. Whenever a samurai warrior control attacks alone, untap it after the first combat phase, blah, blah, blah. There's additional combat phase. If there's something that I want to trigger multiple times in a turn, this might be something where I can play him, attack with the one creature I want to trigger multiple times, then untap, and then attack again. So it would essentially focus on being like a mini Aurelia. And then Risona Asari Commander, I believe, is the only one I didn't talk about last week. 1, a red and a white, 3/3 human samurai, haste. Whenever she deals combat damage to a player, if it doesn't have an indestructible counter on it, put an indestructible counter on it. And whenever combat damage is dealt to you, remove the counter from her. I don't really see this being anything that I want to add, but I figure I would mention it. But yeah, that's the deck idea, and that's the deck, and I do believe I'll see you next time. Hey everyone, sorry for this hard cut here at the end, but this is Future Andy with a little announcement from my LGS. So at our pre-release, the owner of our shop, Jimmy, released an announcement that had been teased 3 days before the actual pre-release. And the first one being, we are getting a rebrand for our LGS. They rebranded their logo. And the second is that they're starting a fundraiser to buy stuff for their new shop because they're moving locations. I will have a link to the original Facebook post in my descriptions, but they have different tiers. The first one is bronze. For $30, you get a dice bag with their new logo. The silver tier is $60. You get a t-shirt and the dice bag. Gold is $100. That gives you a playmat, a t-shirt, and the dice bag. Platinum is $150. You get a hoodie, the t-shirt, dice bag, and playmat. Diamond is $250, and you get a fleece jacket along with the hoodie and everything else. The clothing units will come with your name on the back, and I'm just adding it here to Signal Boost. Me and my cousin have been going to our LGS since, I believe, 2015. And, well, yes, we have kind of been on and off, especially with the pandemic and times when we're both kind of taking breaks from the game. We absolutely love our LGS because whenever you walk in there, it's like walking into a friend's house. There's so much good to say about our LGS. And yeah, just wanted to signal boost here. The fundraiser is running through March 27th. And yeah, I hope to see some extra names up there. Thank you for listening. All of my links can be found in my link tree in the description below. I would like to thank Ian Foss and Cody Mulpey of the band The Crypt for allowing me to use music for my opening and ending, along with Nate and Erica Jacobs for making my original logo. And I would also like to thank Christina McNichol for creating my new logo. And I'll see you next time.